And welcome back. The borough of the Bronx is home to countless entrepreneurs with big ideas, yet many of them struggle to have access to the resources, the funding, and the connections they need to thrive. The Community Enterprise Accelerator is an initiative that's empowering under-recognized entrepreneurs by providing grants, tailored support, and opportunities for capacity and community building. Joining us now is the founder and executive director of Community Enterprise Accelerator, Tim Gamory, and thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So, for somebody that doesn't know a little bit about, your work, talk to us about it.
Sure. So the Community Enterprise Accelerator, it's a fellowship program designed to support under-recognized entrepreneurs in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
We provide grant capital, mentorship, and tailored support to help these entrepreneurs grow their businesses and their community impact.
For entrepreneurs today, 2025, what are we seeing in terms of like the number of people? I'm assuming that with the way that the economy is tanking, COVID, the things of that nature, that entrepreneurship is taking off.
Yeah, that's a great sign. It's that a lot of more people are considering and thinking about how they could do their own thing, right? So, and particularly in the Bronx, it has a greater percentage of very small businesses. Lots of solopreneurs. So the entrepreneurship spirit is alive and well here in the Bronx. And there are resources available, but it's hard, as you mentioned, it's hard to navigate the resources that are available.
So you have an opportunity to do that, right? And some of the work that you're doing is really putting entrepreneurs on that flat footing. If you look at it from your perspective right now, how hard is it for that entrepreneur to really just break out and break into their own?
Yeah, it's very challenging because there's so many factors.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk about in the CEA, the ecosystem that we exist in, because it's not just your particular industry, it's not just your neighborhood. There's so many factors that go into play. There's in terms of the funding sources, the markets. There's just so much to consider for an entrepreneur. So they need guidance, and that's where we're really leaning in to support at a deep level a small number of entrepreneurs, but there's a bigger vision where we're helping to build a community of entrepreneurs that are also supporting each other and connecting to younger people, because we have high school interns that are being connected to this group of entrepreneurs. So those relationships are really key to navigating whatever it is they're trying to do. It's having people that have been there, whatever industry. So being intentional about having like a wide range of connections is really important for us.
When I look at entrepreneurship, as I said just a few seconds ago, there are some barriers, right, that really people have that you're really trying to help them navigate through. For the average person who may not be so familiar, or for a potential entrepreneur who's out there, what are some of these barriers that we're looking at?
Yeah, there's, access to capital is always a challenge for entrepreneurs, especially if you don't have and come from a background, like many of us in the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx originally as well. We don't have necessarily wealth in the family to draw upon. So that startup capital can be a challenge in navigating those sources of capital. And that's something we build into the program in that we provide grant capital as part of the program. We're at $15,000 each for each business that is provided in a grant. Other kind of obstacles to getting started, relationships also. The relationships to whatever market you're trying to get into. So we work with a diverse number of businesses. So some of them have pursuing city contracts or Department of Ed contracts. And if they don't have the relationships with the schools or the principals, it can be challenging if you don't know how things work, who to contact. So it's based on the market. It can be very difficult to get to the decision maker and who you need to kind of contact.
Yeah.
Other challenges, technology is advancing so rapidly. It's really hard to stay on top of.
Right.
And as a small business owner, you don't want to spend your time just trying to figure out and learn technology. So, and it's a challenge for many small business owners to draw upon a resource that could help them with that technology. So that's also something we've built in terms of providing support that focuses on helping with the systems that you need as a business to have to put in place. Yeah. The basics, customer relationship management. Where do you store your contact information so that you can easily access it, contact your customers, do data analysis on your customers. If you're not storing them somewhere, there's so much you can't do beyond that. You're holding it in your head. So many of those like fundamental systems, you're just not taught that in schools. Right. So it's something that many entrepreneurs have to stumble and figure out, and because they're entrepreneurial, they're figuring this stuff out, but it slows them down, and we want to help accelerate.
And I know another thing we talk about is collaboration, right? Because in order for an entrepreneur to succeed, there has to be this power of collaboration. Take us behind the scenes a little bit. How do you navigate the conversation about collaboration? Because for some entrepreneurs, a little bit leery.
Yes.
You know, really, I don't want to share my stuff. I don't want to work with, but you encourage that.
Yeah, it's a powerful part of this model. Like community is not just a word we use, we're actually cultivating a community of entrepreneurs that are developing trust amongst each other, but also the advisors that we're bringing in, and we're partnering with other organizations like NY PACE, who focuses on identifying professional corporate expertise that want to help small businesses. And we bring them together in person, at events, and share information. So we had an event in January when the cohort kicked off with the entrepreneurs, a number of advisors. It was at Hearst Tower. Hearst is the funder of the CEA. And they were all sharing what their goals are, what their challenges are, what they're trying to achieve, being more vulnerable than you would typically see.
Right.
And that allows more people to be able to assist you. If you're able to say, look, this is what I'm struggling with, you'd be surprised how many people want to help.
Right.
But making that first kind of sharing is challenging. So we've actually built that in, where we have regular in-person meetings with this bigger group of advisors, the smaller group with the fellows. There's 5 entrepreneurs. Every week we meet on Mondays. And it's just amazing, the relationships and what's coming out of this. They're talking and doing things and collaborating and envisioning also, like imagine what we could do together.
And you got this cohort, right?
Yeah.
Give me if you will, the syllabus for this cohort and what they go throughout this time together.
Yeah. We're really helping position them and see themselves as the CEO and bring some structure to kind of leadership. So we kick off at the Hearst event with this strategic planning session, with stepping back, with doing a SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. These common frameworks in business, right? In bigger businesses, not necessarily entrepreneurs start off at these. Business schools have them. But they're simple, but they're very effective to help you step back, assess, and be strategic about setting goals and setting targets. So we provide these frameworks, but make it simple and accessible, but we do it. So it's not like, hey, here, go read this or do this. It's like, no, we did the session of strategic planning and then developed this action plan, and we keep sharing out. So everybody knows what everyone's trying to do, the businesses and the advisors. We have M&T Bank as a major partner as well. They're volunteer advisors that are connected to each of the fellows. And we're tracking progress on that plan that they've come up with. And each week I'm meeting with them, and we're keep revisiting, okay, how are we doing here? What does need to be done? Adjusting. So it's helping. That's a big part of the framework, is that kind of leadership and management as a CEO, and that you're understanding the big picture, you're stepping back, you're also delegating, and you're being more strategic.
Right.
And it's tailored support, because these are 5 different businesses that are very different, industries, stages, So it's tailored to what they're trying to do. And then we're like, help map the resource to it. So one company, Pat's Exotic Beverage Company, Northeast Bronx, family-owned business, Caribbean-inspired juice. They are in a number of stores in the Bronx and are expanding. Very different from Spin and Learn, table tennis company. It's such an inspiring story. The young woman, Yasiris, is an actual professional table tennis player for Dominican Republic. And she lives in the Bronx, and she's a pro. And she teaches in New York City public schools, has contract with schools to teach table tennis. They're learning from a pro.
Okay.
We've been talking, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be an Olympic champion coming out of the Bronx at some point.
Right.
Because that kind of expertise. So these are different companies and they have different goals and strategies. So it's, again, very, very tailored. But these frameworks you could use for any business, right? Like getting into quarterly planning, stepping back. So it's helping them with these tools to lead their businesses.
When I look at business, we know that we've seen a lot of them tank simply because of failure to adapt. I've often talked about, I look at Kodak out there in Rochester, New York, and I say, they would still be around if they would have, the reason Instagram is the way the Instagram is because Kodak failed to really do what they did, what they were supposed to do by way of transforming their business.
Right.
Traditional models sometimes are not necessarily advantageous for rising businesses and rising entrepreneurs. We're seeing a lot of traditional models in the failure component.
Right.
I'm on point when I say this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the reasoning behind this traditional model failure, what are you seeing?
Well, the tradition, we're in the era where everything's changing.
Right.
Rapidly. I mean, we saw with technology, of course, the biggest companies now didn't exist 25 years ago. Who would have thought? And it's jobs and everything. But now with AI, like, there's no more tradition in a sense where adaptability is the key. It's a new set of tools and kind of like approaches that entrepreneurs have now. It's amazing with technology and AI. I'm deeply learning so that I could help the entrepreneurs utilize these tools because it's a game changer. So, but it's that ability to learn, and I like recognize patterns, like what's needed, what's happening, what do people need, like understanding customers. So it's really committing to kind of continuous learning so that you can adapt without any assumptions of how things will be, because it's not. It's that ability to adapt, take the pulse constantly, what my customers want. And I think there's a traditional, we'll go back, this aspect of tradition I think is important. It's like real relationships and like solving real problems and people reconnecting. The technology can help actually make us feel more isolated. And there's a need to help connect. And in connecting, identify problems to solve and create businesses and solutions to those problems. And not just problems, but wants and desires. And people have a vision and wish we could, have a coffee shop here. Whatever. There's certain things that I think will persist.
Right.
Our need to connect.
And part of your mission also is really helping people see beyond, like not just the borough, but listen, not just New York City, but how to really engage in a national/global environment.
Yeah, and making those connections too based on existing relationships. So some of the entrepreneurs in the cohort, like Soul Cacao, craft chocolate bar company, they were in the first cohort, 3 brothers, originally from Trinidad. They make craft chocolate. They're selling in Targets across the country. These amazing chocolate bars. I have a bunch at home.
Is that right? Okay.
Dark chocolate is very good for your health.
Yes.
They only use 3 ingredients, but they've been going back to Trinidad to connect to farms there. They're talking to people there about how do we connect, not just from in the Bronx, but to connect to where they're originally from, and to identify property there. They're having very powerful conversations and vision around expanding and making those connections. So yeah, that's something in terms of visioning that is a big part of it. And what helps unlock that, and why we also focus on like process and these small businesses and help them get the minutia out of the way so that they can vision and not be just trying to catch up, just trying to fight fires, which
Yeah.
often happens with any small business, small organization.
As we wind down, tell me a little bit about how people can get access to the work that you're doing and be
Yeah.
connected. If I'm a small business owner or an entrepreneur and I say, listen, he's talking my stuff.
Yeah, there's a number of different ways. So we have Instagram, social media accounts, CEABX on Instagram. If you go to Elevate Digital, we haven't launched the Community Enterprise Accelerator dedicated site yet. If you go to Elevate Digital, we have information there about the program, and you'll see the current cohort, the previous cohort. We're launching the new website soon. We have an event coming up on April 11th. If you are a Bronx entrepreneur, if you are in the ecosystem that help and support entrepreneurs, we bring them all together on a quarterly basis. We have an event. You can reach out to find out more about that. And to put it on the radar, we have the applications for the next cohort, our third cohort, opening in May.
Beautiful.
So we'll be looking for more Bronx entrepreneurs to bring into this community.
And somebody says, what qualifications would I need to be in order to qualify?
Yeah, the Bronx-based business, a year, at least a year in business, 100K in revenue lifetime. That doesn't mean in just in a year, but you've been in business, you generated some revenue. So we're not right now, we're not focusing on purely startups.
Right.
Focusing on some businesses that have been operating.
Right.
And we're prioritizing under-recognized entrepreneurs, Black and Latino, minority entrepreneurs, women, that we're prioritizing.
Yeah, we'll certainly want to make sure people get connected. And once again, let's get the website out there.
Yes, website elevatedigital.nyc.
Okay.
That's where you'll see Community Enterprise Accelerator is on that page.
Tim Gamory, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Great conversation and great work that's going on. If you're a small business entrepreneur in the Bronx, please check it out. Taking a quick break. Guess what? We got more, but we're going to come back right after this.